couple weeks, and then I know it's hard to clear everything up in 1 second, but I mean, what was the plan going forward when you knew you were coming back? Was this the plan? Did you know you were at 7 games you were going to play tonight?
Yeah, I mean that's what Dad told me, but it was a lot said by everybody except for me, to tell the truth. So we'll let people keep talking like they know everything, like they have all the answers, and then sooner or later the whole truth will come out. But until then, we will continue to let people talk, and if I'm here, I will get out there and play.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Price Check Sports Podcast, brought to you by the In the Zone Network, where we go city to city, state to state, worldwide. Of course, NFL down to our last 4 teams here, Conference Championship weekend. We are also 2 weeks out from the NBA trade deadline. So, a lot of sports to talk about, not a whole lot of time to do it, so let's go ahead and get into it today. Really quickly here, some NBA trade talk at the top before we get into the conference championship matchups. Of course, included at the top, Jimmy Butler. That Heat saga is still going on with him. He's reiterated time and time again that he does wish to be traded. The Heat, of course, are looking to make a resolution on that trade request sooner rather than later. Heat culture, right? So much for that. This Jimmy thing is tough, right? I can, on one hand, understand, like, hey, you guys don't want to extend me. Let me go play somewhere else where I could possibly get that extension. On the other hand, look, Jimmy, we don't have a trade partner for you because your value is not where you see it to be. So, that's kind of a catch-22 for the two of them. Jimmy is most valuable to the Heat. And because of that, they're not going to get what they believe they should be getting in return for him, because right now the value around the rest of the league is the same as any other aging superstar. A guy who makes a little bit more than what you probably want to pay, who's also looking to get paid again. He's not really looking to foot that bill. So, talked about the Suns. Do they have enough to make that trade work? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Brad Beal would have to be included, which things have gotten very weird with him and that team. He's gotten benched, apparently wasn't informed that he was going to get benched. The vibes are just off altogether in Phoenix. He's also got to waive his no-trade clause if they're going to trade him. His agent has come out and said that, some of the teams that have been rumored to be teams of interest for him, it's not the case. So, not sure what is going on in Phoenix, same way that we really don't know what's going on with Miami. But all in all, sounds like a lot of unhappy stars. Probably going to be some moves here at the deadline. A couple teams that I'm keeping my eye on here at the deadline. Denver Nuggets in the West, a team that's kind of found their rhythm again. They starting to surge a little bit in those standings. It's a team that looked like, damn, they might fall into the play-in this year, and is now kind of back up in that top tier of Western Conference teams. Very interested to see if they tweak their roster at all. They add some depth, to the bench, or if they maybe try to move like a Michael Porter Jr. or Aaron Gordon. Don't know that they would go that drastic, but very interested to see how they try to capitalize or continue capitalizing on this window with Jokic. And the team in the East that I'm kind of keeping my eye on is the Detroit Pistons. Reason for that is Detroit has been pretty good this year. Young team on the rise, of course, has been, in the draft lottery for I don't know how many years now, at least the last 10. I think this is a team that wants to be good. The question is, do they try to go for a major move, or do they just, again, around the margins, try to tweak some of those, veteran roster pieces that they have and bring in just a little bit more veteran leadership to try to help for a playoff push? So, those are kind of the two teams I have my eye on as far as the NBA trade deadline goes. Of course, my Lakers, you got LeBron and Anthony Davis, of course, feeling a little bit concerned that the Lakers aren't going to be able to make the moves to kind of put them back in contention. Guess what? It's a salary cap sport. Hard to really make moves in a sport where the salary cap is like 140, 150, and your two top guys make like 110, 120. Then the breaks. Yes, Rob Pelinka should be doing something. I don't agree that we should just be staying stagnant, but all in all, very hard to build a roster in this, especially now with the new CBA and, the tax aprons, things like that. And also, let's be honest, nobody wants to help the Lakers. Nobody wants to be the team to help the Lakers get back to the top. Nobody wants to do that. So, it's tough, but at the end of the day, LeBron and AD, probably going to be making some tough decisions this offseason as well if the Lakers don't end this season in a way that would be satisfactory to them, and I understand that. So, not the greatest situation all around, but it is the bed that you made. You got your championship back in 2020 out of it. Maybe you cut your ties here at the end of the season with both superstars. Who knows? But this Lakers team is not just a singular move away from a championship, in my opinion. So, is what it is. Now, moving on to football. Really quickly, football in general, not NFL related, but shout out to the new CFP national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, winning their first national championship here, I believe, in the last 10 years. So, closed that one out 34-23 over Notre Dame on Monday. Ryan Day, of course, beating the whole he's going to get fired allegations and all that. Finally got Ohio State to a natty. So, now, on to the main show, the big show. NFL Conference Championship weekend is here. Got two really good games, man. Eagles and Commanders in the NFC, Chiefs and Bills in the AFC. Of course, how do we get here, right? You got the Eagles beating my Rams. Tough loss for the Rams in Philly last week. One that they were just that close and pulling off an improbable comeback, but was not meant to be. Eagles are now going to host the Commanders on Sunday. Commanders going into Detroit last week, beating the Lions, man. The Lions team, we'll get to them in a second with their coordinators leaving, but the Lions team might be over for them. Might be real shaky for them moving forward. But Eagles and Commanders are here. Jaden Daniels is a monster at this point. Rookie quarterbacks typically are not this good, let alone playing in conference championships. Is there a way for them to really pull off this upset? The answer is yes. The script for the game is probably going to have to look a lot like it did, I believe, week 16 when these two teams played. 15 or 16. It was very late in the season. These two teams played. Kenny Pickett actually had to finish that game for Jalen Hurts. Commanders won that one, I believe, 36-33. The script is going to have to look a lot like that one. If it is a script where the Eagles get to control time and possession, they're running the ball, Saquon's running wild, that crowd is going to be into it, Philly is going to be going crazy, and it's going to probably look at, like 10, 13, 14-point win if you're the Eagles. Now, if you're the Commanders, you want to try to keep this thing close. I think it's going to have to look a lot like it did last week in Detroit. You're going to have to be aggressive, go forward, get on fourth downs as they've done most of the season. And Jaden Daniels is probably going to have to be perfect, which up to this point, he's shown that he can do that. So, far as prediction goes, if you put a gun to my head and you say, got to make a prediction, my gut is going to tell me the Eagles are going to win this game. I do think there is a route for the Commanders to pull off the upset. The problem for me is that run defense is just not good enough to really keep Saquon in check the way that they're going to need to. If Saquon is running for 125, 150, and another touchdown or two, it's probably going to be Eagles like 24-14. But if they can keep Saquon out of the end zone, of course, kind of limit those explosive plays, and also are still getting those explosive plays on offense when they have the ball, you can look at the Commanders being able to keep this within the margin. Of course, I think the spread on this one is 5.5 or 6 points. There's a lot of worlds where the Commanders, lose this game, but they're able to still keep it close. We've seen them week in and week out this entire season be able to hang in these one-score games. But I do, honestly, I think Saquon is just going to be too much. We saw last week, man. He's running down the field, scoring a touchdown, patting his helmet. He's talking shit to the defense. He's talking shit to guys on his own team. He just everything that Philly fans love in their athlete, Saquon is providing all of the vibes right now. So hard for me to pick against that. Hard for me to say that Saquon is just not going to put the team on his back and run them right into Super Bowl. So again, if I had to make a prediction on this one, I'm taking the Eagles. Fairly close game, but I think all in all, the Eagles stamped their trip to yet another Super Bowl. Flip side now, AFC. Got Chiefs and Bills yet again, Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes. We've seen this movie before. Let's rewind a little bit before we get into this particular game. Of course, Chiefs took care of business as we knew they would on Saturday against the Texans. Bills, on the other hand, yes, they won against the Ravens, and I know this is probably going to sound like just a Lamar fan being a hater, but say what you want about how the Ravens lost that game. Whether you think it's Lamar's fault, whether you think it's Mark Andrews' fault, hell, whether you think it's John Harbaugh's fault. regardless of where you want to lay blame for the Ravens losing, there was nothing about the Bills in that game and how they won that would signal to me that, oh yeah, this is definitely the team that's going to beat the Chiefs. Just not happening. We've seen this movie before. The Chiefs are inevitable. Patrick Mahomes is inevitable. Give him the Thanos glove, Infinity Stones, all inevitable, man. The Chiefs are always going to be there. They're always going to be the boogeyman. They always going to be waiting for you in that dark alley. Whatever you think you're going to do, whatever wins you think you can pull off, Patrick Mahomes and that team late in the fourth quarter, they're going to hang it. What is it, my man? I think it's the Geico commercial. You got to be quicker than that. Go ahead, reel that back in, man. You got to be quicker than that. Bills are not going to have enough. I didn't see anything against the Ravens from them that signaled to me this is definitely going to be the AFC's representative in the Super Bowl. You can talk about whether the refs are cheating for the Chiefs or how much influence the league is trying to put on them getting back to the Super Bowl. All in all, what it comes down to is the same thing that it used to come down to with the Patriots dynasty, the Cowboys back when they were good, 49ers. When you're a great team, you know how to win games in all facets. Whether it's a close game, whether it's a blowout, whether it's a game that you got to come back, whether it's a game where a team is trying to come back on you. Regardless, you're prepared for all situations, and because of that, you typically find a way to rise to the occasion in a way that the other team does not. This Chiefs team has continued to do it week in and week out. It's not going to change this week. We have seen this movie before. We've seen this movie before. The Chiefs are inevitable. Don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. What else needs to be said? Chiefs win this one. Probably like 26-23. It'll probably be weird. It's going to be close. It's going to get ugly at times. When it's all said and done, late in the fourth quarter, they're going to need a drive. Chiefs are going to win because you don't bet against Mahomes. Simple and plain, man. So, all that being said, my predictions are right this week. We might be looking at a Chiefs and Eagles Super Bowl rematch from Super Bowl a couple years back. Will be a very interesting wrinkle to see how Saquon, changes things up on the outcome of that potential Super Bowl matchup. But, Chiefs and Eagles have been two of the best teams we've seen all season long, so it would make sense for them to match up in this year's Super Bowl. So looking forward to that being potential matchup. We'll see if it actually plays out that way. Now, really quickly before we go, some coaching news, of course. Saw both Lions coordinators, offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as well as defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn, secure head coaching jobs this week. Aaron Glenn named to be the head coach of the New York Jets. Ben Johnson now becoming the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Of course, we never really know how this is going to turn out from a head coaching standpoint for the coordinators that find new jobs or get promoted. What this does mean to me for the Lions, though, we saw it a couple years ago with Philly. You go on this run, you win a lot of games, you get some success. You lose both coordinators, typically you don't come back from that. It's a real hard year that very next year. To say that you never come back from that, okay, might be a stretch, but it's going to be very difficult for them implementing new coordinators. What does that mean for Jared Goff? All in all, looking kind of shaky for the Lions moving forward, to me, at least. If you're calling me a hater, whatever. But again, just go back and look at any team in previous NFL history when they lose both offensive and defensive coordinators, what the next season looks like for them, and then tell me if I'm lying. So that's that for the Lions and their former now coordinators. Really just now came out some news out of Dallas looking like they're going to promote offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer to become the head coach there in Dallas for the Cowboys now. I guess. Let's hope it works out for them, but I don't know that the Cowboys fans are going to love that, so we'll see what kind of fun content and fun reactions comes out of that, but it looks like all signs are pointing to Brian Schottenheimer becoming the head coach in Dallas, which will at that time leave us with 3 remaining head coaching spots, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and Las Vegas. Vegas, there's some rumors that Pete Carroll might end up taking that job. We'll see there. New Orleans is still a little bit up in the air as far as who might take that job. Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, has been kind of floated around on that one. Joe Brady, also offensive coordinator of the Bills, has been floated around on that one as well. And then for Jacksonville, have not really made a whole lot of progress as far as head coaching candidates. Robert Saleh is one name that's been thrown out there a little bit. We'll see if that actually happens. But they did also this week finally decide to fire GM Trent Baalke, who's been there. This would have been like his third or fourth coaching hire at that point. Finally got him up out of the paint. So now we'll be hiring a GM and a head coach here to finish out this offseason. So that'll do it for today's show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing wherever you are. Of course, continue to like, share, subscribe here on YouTube. Continue to follow us on the socials at X and IG. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Josh Price. Check it out.